The Drive Guy, Sactown Sports 1140 Drapes, Kyle Draper, my guy Jay behind the boards, lacing you with all your tunes. Let's get right to it. Without further ado, we welcome in the six-time All-Star, three-time All-NBA, future Hall of Famer, 23,000 point scorer, author. I'm adding that to his list as well. DeMar DeRozan, Sacramento Kings player, joining us. DeMar, what's up, my man? Thanks for jumping on with us.
Man, thank you for having me.
Man, it's World Mental Health Day, and, which is huge, obviously, for you and for me. We're going to get into that, but it's been a lot of changes for you, I guess, over the last 6 months or so. A new city, you got the book out now, played your first game with the Kings. How are things going here in Sacramento first?
Everything going smooth, man. Transition been great. Organization been great. Coaching staff, just everything top to bottom been a smooth transition for me.
Yeah, no doubt them fans loving you, man. It was a movie out there last night, and congratulations on a great debut. You tweeted out something earlier today, and I mentioned it's World Mental Health Day. You said, today is World Mental Health Day. Working every day to seek out and appreciate moments of calm has been a big part of my mental health journey. Let's create a world where everyone feels safe to talk about their mental health struggles. Let me ask you this. Growing up in Compton, and we'll dive into that coming up in a little bit, and you detailed it in your book, My Story of Chasing Calm, Above the Noise. But when did mental health and becoming an advocate and spreading the word become important to you?
It really became a priority for me, I want to say, after 2018, kind of when I just stepped out there and started voicing everything that I went through career-wise and, life-wise growing up. And, it just sent me down the path of just being more educated about it, understanding that, we all go through so much. And if me sharing my story can help others, I just want to break the stigma and show that, we all going through something that we all can help each other by sharing our stories.
DeMar DeRozan joining us, Sacramento Kings player, author of Above the Noise, his story of chasing calm. DeMar, as I'm reading your book, and I'm working through it now, especially early on in the book, I really related. You grew up in Compton. You talk about the neighborhood that you grew up in. I grew up in Philadelphia, and I remember if I walked one block left, it was a different gang. If I walked one block right, it was a different gang. If I walked 2 blocks down the road, it was a different crew. It was like you had to be aware and how you had to navigate your own neighborhood. How did that shape you and impact you from an emotional and mental perspective?
As I got older, you start to realize the survival instincts and tactics that you already, imply before you was even teenagers, just show you how rough it was for me. You just knew what store not to go to, what store was outside of your neighborhood. Like you said, you could go 2 blocks one way, you're in a different hood. You kind of had this survival instincts that you carried every time you walked out the door, and you don't really realize how traumatizing that becomes on a young kid. And it plays on your mental. It gives you a built up aggression, paranoia in a sense. It's a lot of emotions that come with that when you should just feel like a free young kid. I think that was one thing that I experienced so much in my childhood growing up, and basketball was kind of that escape for me to kind of get away from all that.
DeMar, one of the, like you said, growing up in the CPT and coming up and basketball being one of those things that could be used as a deflection. Take us back to the point in time where you said, you know what, because sometimes, as you said, stepping out of the stigma for African-American men, for men, our egos, sometimes we don't utilize communication as being the best. And when you're writing a book, that's what you're doing. You're communicating your story. Is there a point in time where you were like, you know what, this is it for me, I need to tell my story? Can you take me back to that situation?
Yeah, I think everything kind of hit a wall for me in 2018 where, I kind of just looked at myself and, I looked at how much I accomplished up to that point in my career, how far I came, the position I put my family in. And I remember just looking at myself saying, man, I made it through Compton, California. You know, I've been able to be at the top of my game and in the sport that I dreamed of being a part of, and it gave me the confidence to not feel ashamed of anything. And it just made me say, you know what, like, forget it. This is how I feel. This is what I'm going through. This is my journey. You know, everybody view me like, you know, everything is always perfect, and that's not the sense. You know, I want the other side to be seen. And that's what it was for me, just hitting the wall, feeling confident and knowing I was secure with myself. But also I knew I was holding in so much that I just wanted to kind of, you know, get out there.
Man, DeMar DeRozan joining us here, 6-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA. DeMar, you speaking the truth, man, because, you know, personally, I've thought about writing a book, detailing my experiences, sort of like you said, to just let it all out, man. You know, just I feel like I'm holding so much in, but I haven't made that leap yet because you got to protect family members, friends. I don't know if I want to go. What, you know, did you have any reservations about that as you wrote your book?
Yeah. For sure. You know, that's the tough part too. But even me doing a book kind of unlocked a lot of things that I still was kind of holding back or, you know, omitting that I didn't realize that after the book was out. And, you know, even the book put me in a place to kind of dig deeper and really look at myself even more and try to do the work that needs to be done. You know, and sometimes you got to, you know, make yourself vulnerable to see other parts of your side that you probably don't even see. So, you know, that's what it was for me. Even doing the book, you know, so much other stuff came from it after, to where it's like, you know, I remember one night I was sitting back and realizing, like, man, if I didn't do this book, I probably never would have uncovered these things that I still was holding in. So, you know, like I said, life is such a journey, and sometimes you got to go through certain things to unpack certain things that you didn't even know was hidden.
DeMar DeRozan joining us. DeMar, this book, a bestseller in Canada. Congrats on that, my man.
Congrats,
My story
man.
of chasing calm above the noise. You know, when we talk about mental health, you know, one thing I've learned is, and I'm in therapy too, you know, I'm talking to a therapist, have been for many years. It's an ongoing thing too, right, DeMar? It's not just a half-hour sitcom or an hour show where everything is wrapped up. It's constantly evolving, right?
Yeah, it's a thing that never ended. You know, the approach should never be, oh, I'm going to therapy to fix this. It's, you know, it's more so to uncover and resolve a lot of things, because, you know, the journey still continues. You know, there's no 10-pack sessions you could buy that make you feel like everything is fine and dandy after that. Nah, it's a consistent thing, because just as well as life, it's consistent, it's ongoing, and, you know, it just gives you the strength and the confidence you need to know how to deal with those emotions that we didn't know was coming out of nowhere, or the frustration, or the low self-esteem, or all these other emotions that come out of nowhere, where they stem from.
Joined by DeMar DeRozan. DeMar, one of the things that I found interesting, and it's just like Kyle, I'm kind of sifting through the beginning of the book, but man, a lot of people know you as a girl dad. I mean, plentiful girl dad, right? And so as a fellow girl dad, and Kyle Draper being a fellow girl dad, how does being a girl dad for the fathers out here, because, you know, sometimes we don't get the conversations from man to man. We don't get the masculine conversation sometimes. How does that play a role in your mental health and among your life?
What, being a girl dad?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I always, you know, my first daughter, she's 11 now. You know, she opened me up emotionally in a whole different way to soften me up, you know, and gave a different emotion that I never thought I'd be able to dig into, you know, and, you know, my daughter definitely did that too, you know, and especially, you know, with four of my girls, me having 4 daughters and a son, you know, I got that complete balance now of understanding, you know, the emotional standpoint, or even how my dad, you know, was a father to me, and me understanding that, you know, that tough love not always the answer that I probably always got, you know. So even when it comes to my son, I give him his love and appreciation when he may need it, and not always be so hard on him to give him that, you know, that resentment that, you know, we kind of grow up with being men. So, you know, I think I got definitely best of both worlds, but something about them girls definitely unlock another emotion.
Oh, I tell you.
You're right, DeMar. And you talked about it in your book, especially, growing up with your dad. And, you were a little hesitant about becoming a father because you didn't know if you wanted to use the same tact. I know as a father of a 15-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl, that 12-year-old girl got me wrapped around her face. DeMar, she got me buying Taylor Swift tickets out here, man. I'm like,
Yep, that's what they do to it. That's what. Listen, I love it. I caught myself sending some emojis, some girly emojis to my daughter the other night. You know what I mean? Because you just find yourself being in a whole different life. But they definitely do that to you.
DeMar, and I said this last week on our show, we were talking about your book and how I was reading it. And, one of my missions is I enjoy working with the Sacramento Kings, working here at KHTK Sactown Sports. I love being a play-by-play announcer, a pre- and post-game host. But ultimately, I want my legacy to be bigger than that. When it's all said and done, I don't want them to list my career accomplishments, if you will. I want them to list the impact I had on people. How is that for you? Is that one of your goals as well? And how is that going for you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think Kobe said it. He said, "If I'm just remembered for basketball, I didn't do my job." It was something like that. But I feel the same way. If I don't want to just be remembered for basketball. I feel like things I've accomplished on a basketball court is what led me to be something bigger, and me being in a position I am in now, being able to speak on mental health and be a part of that journey and helping, saving lives and changing stigma. That's what it's all about, man. That's real legacy because that's life changing, generation, looking at my kids, helping them navigate through this whole thing because it's a very sensitive world that we live in, and it's tough times, it's scary times in the same token. So, I definitely want to be remembered for more than just being a basketball player.
DeMar, last one for me, and you kind of stole my thunder because I wanted to ask. We're talking about mental health, man. This is just for my mental health, for Shoehead mental health, for Sacramento Kings mental health, and probably for you, man. Any tip? Can you let something out the bag? What's DeMar DeRozan wearing on the feet this year? We know you've been rocking Kobe's for many moons. Anything interesting?
It's always gonna be Kobe's. That's the only shoe I'm gonna play in. I'm gonna bring out some heat. Now I got some purple shoes that I could kind of pull out the bag now that nobody's seen. So I'm looking forward towards that.
DeMar DeRozan joining the Drive, guys. DeMar, we appreciate it, man. 6-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA, author of My Story of Chasing Calm, Above the Noise. It is a great read. Go out and get it right now. DeMar, we appreciate you coming on, man, on World Mental Health Awareness Day. Thanks so much. Hey, let's light the beam tomorrow in San Francisco, though. All right, let's get that W tomorrow. All right, thanks so much, DeMar. All right, baby. We'll see you soon. DeMar DeRozan, man, our guy right here on the Drive, guys. Sactown Sports, 1140 coming up next. We'll unpack that interview, dive into last night's game as well. It's the Drive, guys, with Drapes and Jay here on Sactown Sports, 1140.
What's up? We're talking